We're good? All right. Good evening and welcome to the Council Advisory Committee meeting. It is Monday, April 13th at 5 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. This meeting is being live streamed on the town's YouTube channel and also held in chambers. We acknowledge that we are meeting in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and also recognize the contributions and presence of African Nova Scotians. We honor and respect all communities who have cared for and continue to care for this land. We have regrets from Councillor Andrew this evening, but we do have quorum. I'll begin by asking if there are any conflict of interest declarations that we should be made aware of before we commence. Councillor Baker.
Yes, I'll step down for 5E, the Lions Club of Kentville lease.
Okay, thank you. We have a proposed agenda here. We do have one addition under item 5I under new business. We're going to add 2026 spring debenture pre-approval. That'd be 5I. Any other additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, moved by Councillor Savage and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Kroll. All those in favor signify by raising. Those opposed, motion is carried. We have a set of minutes from the March 9th meeting. Are there any changes to this set of minutes? There being none, we will file those as presented. Thank you. We'll move right along to department reports, and you left. We will welcome the Chief of Kentville Police Service, Chief Smith. We're good.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, CAO, and Deputy Clerk. Tonight I'm just going to, our last board meeting I wasn't present, but our Deputy Chief presented our yearly report, which is something I'm responsible to present to the board yearly. So that's what I'm going to go through tonight. I don't think that I've done this at a CAC before, so any questions, don't hesitate. Again, it's on our town page, our website. We've shared it on social media as well, but any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. I'll skip all I looked a lot younger back then. Here, just to, again, they all start with the same organized chart. Then we'll get into some staffing stuff. So currently we have a complement of 18 officers. 1 chief, deputy chief, 5 sergeants, 11 constables, 1 bylaw. We have 4 full-time admin staff, including back check, 5 part-time back check, and 3 auxiliary members. We did have some changes last year in 2025. We had 1 member leave and join the RCMP. We had successfully completed our first cadet recruitment program, and we're almost finished selecting our 2nd cadet to attend the APA in July. We had a court administrator left and joined the RCMP, and then we had some switching within our office. So, which basically we moved some people within and then hired a new administrative person. Calls for service. So we captured the last 5 years. So as you can tell, in 2021 we were 3,643, 2022 3,257. They started to drop. 2021, COVID was pretty high then. So since 2023 to 2025, we've had quite an increase in call volume. Actually, 2025, as you can see, is our highest, and probably one of the higher ones that I can remember that we've had a report on. I think the total percentage up in the last 2 years was around 23%. So what I've done here is break down some of our types of crimes that we have, so color-coded, you should be able to see. So they represent the years of 22, 23, 24, and 25. The only ones to note that have really taken an increase are property crimes, have gone up in 2025. And then we also had a slight increase in our mental health related calls. That went up from 2024. Other than that, they're pretty much on par where they've been, other than IPB actually took a decline, which isn't a bad thing. Again, breakdown, and if you have questions, just ask me as I'm going through. Feel free to interrupt me. I'm fine with that. You don't have to wait till the end. This is a breakdown of what the property crime types are. So mischief, account for almost 25%, theft, a little over 63, break-in and 11, and arson. I think it would have been 1%, so it would have been probably one file. Crimes against person, the highest was assault with a weapon, which is quite common for violent offenses to be the highest category. And this is not my design, but if you like colors and graphs, I didn't create it, but it just kind of gives you a breakdown to show the bigger the picture, that's the more volume of calls we've had. So obviously well-being check, trespass act, traffic offenses, mental health, that makes up for a large majority of our call volume, which is something we discuss quite a bit here at council as well as the Board of Police Commission. So within our service, we have three investigative units. We have GIS, General Investigation, SKU, Street Crime Enforcement. Street Crime Enforcement is our funded member from the province. They work collaboratively with the RCMP. I think I've mentioned this at CAC, but over the last 2-3 months since we've introduced our new member into SKU, they're working more within our office instead of just totally out of New Minas, which is something we've changed, and it's working quite well, especially as of last week when our GIS member was very busy with some file work. So we brought back our SKU member. They worked collaboratively together and actually accomplished a lot of work. So there is a lot of benefit to it, and we're still working collaboratively with the RCMP. CIS&S is Criminal Intelligence Service in Nova Scotia. It is exactly what it says it is. They gather intelligence and pass that on to the working units to act on. This unit is becoming more hands-on though, so they're not just gathering intelligence, they're also writing warrants and then also going, and as they say, kicking doors, executing warrants. Again, we have the Community Engagement Sergeant and the Community Crisis Navigator. So with the Navigator in 2025, which doesn't really give you a good picture because 2025 that position was vacant. The Navigator received 47 referrals and had 217 interactions with clients. As I said, it was vacant for about 6 months in 2025. There's the man of the hour, Special Constable Wood. He issued 549 ticket infractions in 2025. I don't know what those parking meters cost, but I don't know that you'd ever get the money out of those that what you get for value and work out of him. So he issued 502 warnings and he had 308 charges for other provincial statutes, so that's summary offense tickets. He's always assisting KPS with calls downtown, and he averages pretty much 7 hours a day on the block. Training, so we have a few different types. Mandatory we have to do is provided by the province. We're mandated to do it. It takes a lot of time and effort, and we have 3, 4, 5 use of force and firearms instructors within our office. It takes roughly 3 to 4 days to just complete our mandatory training that we have to do, just the mandatory. And that's for every person within our office. So 18 members need to have those training days done. We have an excellent group of trainers, and the staff managed to get a lot of that training done, usually spring and fall. And as you can see you'll see in our March, next month, you'll see I think our hours increased to almost 400 training hours in the month of March, which is a fair number. So just to touch on that, we did 900 mandatory training hours in 2025. And then then the additional functional instructor training, that's obviously what people want to learn something above and beyond. It's not mandatory, but developmental. In 2025, 1,300 additional hours and 2,200 hours in training. So Councillor Savage was talking to me on our break there about a member that their parents are quite proud of for what a course they completed, which is a DRE course, a drug recognition expert. It's probably the toughest course any police officer will ever take, other than probably ident course, forensics. And he did exceptionally well on it. So that course would have been at least 3 weeks, and that's 3 weeks in the classroom. He's probably spending 3-4 weeks afterwards studying and preparing, because it's pretty in-depth. Our auxiliary program, we've been doing auxiliary program for as long as I've been in Kentville, so I think it started in 99 or 2000. We currently have 3 that are donated a total of 401 hours to the Kentville Police Service. And it doesn't go unnoticed. They're great to have, and they always love coming out for community events. Policing standards, I'll quickly touch on this. You've 5 pillars that were released in 2024 because of the policing review. 39 policing standards were implemented. And in the summer of 2025, we submitted our 39 policies to address those standards. We're currently going through the audit process with the province, and I haven't heard anything. It kind of went silent for months, so hopefully we'll be hearing something from the province soon. I expected to hear something after the budget was released, but I didn't see anything. Strategic plans. In the fall of 2024, we created our first strategic plan in many years. We're now currently going into year 2. I just finished, so this month I'll be presenting our 6-month update. Again, our pillars: communication, equipment, accountability, building trust, proactive enforcement, administration, training, education, and wellness. And within our first year, what we wanted to accomplish, or what we hope to, obviously you want to get 100%. That typically doesn't happen, but we completed 78% of our objectives that were outlined within that first year, which was a good feat. Capital projects, as you guys know, you passed the budget for us, so new police cars, body armor. We're still working on pros and patent GPS. It's ongoing. Our IT said hopefully the summer of this year, and we're super excited. And pistols, which we just received and implementing new training next month. Wellness initiatives. I'm sorry, I didn't think this was going to take this long. Sorry, guys. Wellness initiatives. 2024, we had staff apply for the grant through NSFM. It was a huge success, and we've continued on. So each year we apply for it, and these are just a couple of the pictures. There's many more pictures, ones that we won't release publicly. Not that they're bad, but it's a huge game changer for us within the office. Wellness is such a big thing, but it allows us to be human as well, right? So we're doing stuff at work, but we're also doing things after. We did trivia night over here the other night at Maritime Cider. We didn't win, but it was a lot of fun. And again, it gets us to get away from work from a little bit and regroup. We did our first fundraiser, Battle of the Badges, last year, which was a huge success, and we'll more than likely do that again in the fall with the fire service. Community engagement, as you know, is huge for Kentville. I'll always say we exist because of it. That's what we do. We're a police service, but we're very involved in the community. And so these are some of the pictures over the years. We have the torch run, we have the parades, we have Cram the Cruiser. We're involved in Special Olympics. By the way, I'm doing a plunge on Saturday. If you haven't donated yet and you have lots of money that you want to donate to Special Olympics, Please go to the webpage. Thank you, Councillor Savage, for your donation. And the Deputy Clerk for a very nice donation. We do a Valley Harvest Fund. We started that a couple years ago, which was a great success. And then continue. I mean, I have to go through and actually, there's so many pictures that it's hard to pick some. Awards and recognition. These people would receive awards throughout 2025. Some of the highlights obviously are 30-year service, Sergeant Trevor McNeil. Constable Cleves received her 15, Sergeant Goss received his 25, Sergeant McDonald received his 20. Sergeant Lutz received his 25, retired. And that is the 2025 year-end report. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Smith? Councillor Maxwell.
Very nice report. I like that. Very comprehensive. I just have a question. I was at another meeting today, and it came up that many of our citizens, and you know this, perceive our town to be not safe, especially after 5 p.m. when the various shops close and offices close up and things like that. And I'm just wondering if you and your staff have done any brainstorming to see how you might be able to help rectify that situation.
As far as their perception, that, I mean, perception's tough, right? Like, brainstorming to help someone with their perception of what walking around downtown.
Well, that they don't feel safe coming to town to do a walk around in the evening. They feel okay, I guess, during the day because you're on the block and our bylaw officer is on the block and there's people around. But in the evenings, after everything closes, they're afraid to come downtown. And so I'm just wondering.
And I guess that would be, questions I would ask is that what makes them, that perception to make them feel safe, is that we're not out? Is that what they're indicating, or is it that?
It's just that they don't feel safe in our town.
Okay.
And we have, I'm asking because you're our police force.
Yep.
And so I'm asking if you've ever sat down as a group and had a discussion on that, because this has been ongoing for quite a few years, as you know. It's been brought up several times. Yeah. And I'm wondering if that has ever, and I know you're busy, I know you've got a lot of other things, but if that has ever come up as something, maybe a group discussion.
Many times, and we continue to have them. Again, I was talking about the perception part. We're not meeting about, because that's difficult, but yes, meeting with how to deal with things. We had one just as recently as last week, and we have another one planned on the end of April to sit down and discuss how are we going to continue to work on the things that are happening downtown, but also keeping in mind that everything that's happening downtown is not criminal in nature or policing. Mm-hmm. That's the tough part. But yes, absolutely. It's, as you can see from the report, it's a lot of our calls are dealing with that. Yep. So our members are out there daily. Our call volume keeps to increase. The amount of times that we're dealing with people over and over and over and over for the same thing, and it plays a toll on the members too, right? Mm-hmm. So from a management perspective, we got to think of outside the box and how we deal with these issues to make sure, yes, A, it's safe, and B, our members are looked after too, and C, the public is safe, right? So yeah, I wish there was an easy, simple, quick fix, but
me too.
There's not.
Yeah, no, that's good. I just wanted to put that out there in a public forum so that people could listen. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, Chief. That was an excellent, excellent report. It's nice to see the 78% of the objectives have been met. Interesting with the call volumes up and the 5-year strategic plan. I think it's great. The wellness initiatives is important as well. And just to sort of dovetail on what Councillor Maxwell was saying, so I was looking at, obviously, and you pointed out the mental health piece being something that your officers are dealing with. And if the province was to become more involved around that piece, and considering the discussions that you've had with the members, do you folks ever come up with something that you feel that if the province became more engaged or engaged more on this mental health piece, how they could help in that regard? I'm really dancing around that, but I'm trying to.
I think I get where
Yeah.
you're coming from, but yeah. Our biggest concerns are day-to-day calls. There's things that we can't deal with from a policing perspective.
Right.
The root causes of why we keep getting the same calls over and over, i.e. mental health, addictions, and that would be huge that those supports were in place and available for those people. And I'm not talking like we have someone that's, 6 months out waiting for an appointment to get to see someone. That's not acceptable. A year. I think the psychologist presented at our board meeting that if you're a youth and you need to get in touch with a psychologist, it's a year wait. That's not acceptable. What happens in a year? What happens in a month that someone's waiting to get these services? So we can't fix mental health
No, of
and
course not.
addictions on our own.
Yeah.
But we have to be in that room, right? So we are obviously having meetings and collaborating with the board that Minister Lohr is a part of and started. And we've obviously passed along a lot of these concerns and issues.
Okay.
We have to be collaborative, but again, it's not something we can just throw money at. There needs to be a plan in place on how to deal with it.
100%, and it's good that I know Councillor Maxwell's on, I think Councillor Andrews on it as well. Yeah, so that's helpful. Thank you. Yeah.
Chief Smith, just wondering, and I realized our police force has to take, we've got the whole community to deal with, and not just the downtown. And I'm not sure how many officers you have on in the evening or what the shifts are like, but saying there wasn't something catastrophic that happened somewhere else in town, what would it look like, or would there be any way to have a night beat, I guess, of an officer, just to have a presence downtown? I think maybe Councillor Maxwell was going that way. I'm not sure if that's what she was thinking, if that would help at all, or if that's even possible, especially now as we get into the warmer season and there's more people around, obviously.
Again, these are the conversations we're having as well. Okay, where do we go from, we've tried certain things that are not working. We got to think outside the box a little more and see. The downtown businesses, as you know, they're closed pretty early. But if we continue to have these issues, then we got to think outside the box. And if that means that, our bylaw officer, yes, he's out there all day. Members are out there during the day. Evening, they're not as much, right? But again, a typical evening shift would have a maximum of 3 people. One's off, it's down to 2. During the day shift, there's quite a few more that are working, right? So, but yes, it's certainly a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, we will move on now to Engineering and Public Works and invite up Director Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'll start with Water Commission as I typically do. We do have a draft Water Commission operating and capital budget essentially complete, as we needed one for our water rate consultants to complete the water rate study. And once the proposed rate increase is approved, we can finalize these budgets and present them at our next Water Commission meeting scheduled for April 29th here in Chambers at 3 p.m. Sticking with that, back just last week, Director Matthews and I, along with our rate study consultants, attended the water rate hearing in front of the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board, formerly the UARB. On April 7th, as I mentioned, here in Chambers, our consultants presented their study, and we were given a few undertakings to answer by April 21st, next Tuesday, I guess. We'll have those back to our consultant this week. So it's expected once these undertakings are answered and some minor changes made to the rate study, a rate increase could go into effect for the second quarter of 26-27, which would make that July 1st second quarter billing. Under sanitary sewer, there were no operational issues internally in the month of March. I presented the regional sewer budget to council at our last council meeting in March, and reported to the finance and engineering departments at the county that our council approved the 26-27 regional sewer budget. Skip ahead to Public Works update, just a couple things. Our street sweeper is now back in service after being winterized, and as of today, actively starting to clear the gutters and park lanes along town, and looking forward to getting that done so we can move on to road painting, freshening things up in the next month. As a capital update, 2 of our large Public Works winter works equipment have been ordered, and we expect the plow salt truck to arrive around September, and our new sidewalk machine should arrive just before that in August, in ample time to be ready for to integrate into our winter fleet. I don't want to think about that right now because we're just finishing up this winter season, thankfully. Under projects, a little update on the Mitchell Brook culvert replacement. It has been awarded, and we're working with the contractor and our consultant to move the project forward to construction, including reviewing shop drawings and coordination of the remaining requirements. And we've had a pre-construction meeting just here a week or so ago. And once they give us the shop drawings and things, I still have to wait until work in the dry, which is June to September, is a environment requirement, but most likely the driest months, July and August, is when this work will take place. And they expect to set up actually temporary traffic lights on that section of Park Street out where Mitchell Brook crosses Park Street. So it will be signalized traffic control for a number of weeks to install that important piece of infrastructure. The Hilts Road update, we're currently preparing the design for phase 2 of the project, which involves replacing the water tank in the business park and relocating our treatment facility from Mitchell Avenue up to the new tank site. And AT, we're entering the last year, the last phase of the ICIP-funded AT sidewalk project. And this year, there'll be some projects completed by Director Langel's department, but the one in Public Works is a section of sidewalk that sort of ties together the end of where West Main starts at Park Street and the end of Main Street near the old Travelers Club, bringing that sidewalk back towards the Baptist Church. That section is in really poor condition with the old brick lining from the 80s. So that section of curb and sidewalk will be replaced to complete that AT loop and essentially wrap up our multi-year AT funded project. In the provincial paving program, as we did last year, focusing on sort of the downtown and the east end of Main Street. This year we'll focus on the west end of Park Street. And we applied for the grant. We expect to hear in the next week or 2 from the province is what they're telling us. And then we'll get tenders out ASAP to try to get that done before the middle of summer. So that's a 50% funding project, and we're in year 3 of the 5-year program. Hopefully they keep that going through the full 5 years, and we can take advantage of it. And the last thing I'll touch on is our patch paving program. Tenders for our annual patch paving program are set to close this week, and once that's closed and we review the successful contractor will complete the main routes in May and then move to other parts of town throughout the summer. And those are the highlights of my report.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Director Bell, for that. I've got 2 questions. Just the first, which may be directed to you and Director Matthews. What were the small changes necessary to the rate study?
There was a few undertakings. They're mostly clarification items. Probably won't affect the proposed rates. It was roughly a little less than it was about a 2-hour meeting. We started, I think, at 10:30 and was done by noon last Tuesday. But they always have a few questions and to take away that we need to clarify and update them with some answers. But for the most part, the consultants will answer those, and a couple by the director and I. Minor things like, does the utility own any real property? Well, the answer is no. It's the town that owns the land that our facilities, our tanks, and our wells sit on. So just sort of clarification questions, but ultimately not much change to the rate study itself.
Thank you. And if I may, a second question. We talked briefly about sanitary sewer. This being April, things are going to start aerating. And you've attended those meetings, so what does that look like from a sanitary sewer position as far as smell is concerned for Kentville and Minas this spring compared to last?
Everyone's optimistic. I mean, they don't stop aerating. They do tend to reduce the amount of air sometimes when the ponds are fully iced over, because there typically isn't a lot of need to have that full-fledged, I think up to 4, maybe 5 now of these large 50, 60, maybe even higher horsepower motors that aerate certainly the first primary cells particularly. They've made a lot of upgrades in the last 3 years between the desludging and the aeration and the addition of blowers last year. New blowers, that is, more higher efficient blowers. I don't get into the workings of the plant, but they certainly are optimistic that there's always going to be a turnover period, and we've experienced that for perhaps forever, but not the prolonged issues that have gone on well into the summer in the past. So all we can do is hope their consultants have made the right decisions, and will be a more normal year than the last many have been, it seems.
Okay, I had to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, good to ask.
Deputy Mayor Kroll.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks, Director Bell, for your report. I'm really curious, because we had such a really long winter this year, how the snow removal budget panned out.
We weren't, so I think, I don't have the final numbers, and Director Matthews probably does. This year we did our own budget. Salts didn't change a great deal. It doesn't seem to matter the length. Even lighter snow seasons, we probably use more salt than a heavier snow winter. So I think salt in general, even though the price has gone up and even the hauling prices have gone up, they are a big portion of our overall snow budget. And we do have a third-party sort of standby loader that parks at the shop from December until the end of March, and that cost has gone up. We tender that every year, and it's hard to even find folks interested in the unknown, because it is a standby plus an hourly rate if needed, and they don't know whether they're going to get 0 hours or 100 hours in a given month. And for the most part, they were only called out about 4 or 5 times during the bigger snow events. So I think we're over a bit, eh? Yeah. So somewhere, I think, around maybe the $20,000 mark, Deputy Mayor, but not as bad as could be.
Could be. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. This is actually under the Director of Finance report, but I think I'm going to ask you because it's under capital projects. The Apple Tree Landing.
Lane?
Apple Tree Lane, yes, the deferral of that. Apple Tree Lane storm sewer.
Yeah.
So it was budgeted at 68K, forecasted for 6,500, and it shows deferred.
The forecast was just a small amount of work done. We did a first phase.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
A couple years ago to help remove water from kind of a trapped area in the back of some properties and bring that into the storm system.
Yeah.
So that was sort of phase one, and that small amount that carried over, I guess was the only amount that was spent in the first part of that budget.
Okay.
Really was landscaping more than anything to finish up. Because the work was done late in the year, it left some sort of lawn repairs required in an easement which we acquired for this storm line between properties.
Okay.
The phase two that we haven't done this year is to connect that section to a lower catch basin. Currently, it's sort of a temporary connection. It's working well, but we want to get it tied
okay.
into the storm main down the street. So that's the budget line item in this year's capital.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you.
Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you for your report. I just had a question about the work that wasn't finished at the corner of James or Mountain View and Campbell. And I'm assuming that's going to get wrapped up here as soon as we get into some weather where that can get finished.
Concrete season, I think the corner, was the piece of slab that wasn't poured
Yeah,
on the edge
yeah.
of the sidewalk, there
Was there a drain there?
There was a catch
over-
basin that was
there-
replaced, and then
Right.
they formed up the curb and sidewalk, but got into the winter season and had a hard job actually getting that small amount of ready mix concrete delivered at the end of the season. So certainly going to pour that
As soon as that.
in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Councillor, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Director Bell.
Thank you.
And we'll now hear the finance report from Director Matthews.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The report that's circulated this evening is rather brief, as much of our focus has been around the operating budget in the last month. I would point out, though, that if you've looked at the statement of operations for the end of February, the forecast has not changed. We are still forecasting around just over $100,000 surplus. We know that activity for March still is yet to be recorded, as well as any year-end adjustments that we are working through now. However, we do not see anything that would flag us to assume that we would not reach that target. I also wanted to highlight that our capital expenditure report, you'll see that almost all of our projects are completed. Those that were not canceled or deferred. The only one that shows as incomplete right now is the pool renovation, because there are deficiencies that are being addressed. However, we don't anticipate the costs to go up much. Just didn't think it made sense to say it was complete when you know folks are up there working. But in terms of costing, we should be okay. And the amount of taxes you'll see is outstanding is just around 1%, which is fairly consistent with previous years. So that's all I wanted to highlight. I'm open to any questions.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions for Director Matthews? Not a one.
Great.
All right. Now we'll hear from Director Shoup with Planning and Development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll just run through some highlights from our report. Off the top, in our looking forward section, we mentioned that the Planning Advisory Committee later this week will actually start the first real step forward in the plan review. So we're excited to get that started, and we'll have better information about that in the near future as well. In terms of our development applications, a little error there, that should have been for March, of course, that we had 4 development permits, which are relatively low, but it's kind of off-season for development permits. We've already seen a great increase for April based on those numbers. 2 of the ongoing applications will be seen at PAC later this week, so the home-based business and concurrent construction will be discussed a little greater depth there. So kind of reviewing the PAC agenda to a degree, but the supportive housing report will come back to PAC at that point as well, with some revisions made for clarity with definitions and that sort of thing. So another opportunity to discuss those amendments, proposed amendments. What else do I want to mention? There's 2 bylaws tonight that we've also been working on in conjunction with the CAO to make sure that they're ready to go for heritage and for building, in support of some of the other work that we do. And then an update from our economic development coordinator for the VIC, getting up and running with VIC, its relationship with the Apple Blossom Festival, which is also soon, and Center Square bookings and some branding for Pumpkin People as well. So an array of items in this month's report. And I have to answer your questions that council may have.
Perfect. Any questions for Director Shoup? 2 in a row, you're off. Oh, hold on. What was the last call? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor.
You did that on purpose.
I did. You sort of answered the question, and I will be the first one to say I have not reviewed my PAC documents yet, but I will between tonight and Wednesday. But the piece around the support of transitional and emergency housing, you mentioned there that it was looked at and that there was quite a bit more added to it, proposed amendments.
That is correct.
So is it more, because I just remember that being very high profile with the residents of the community. So is it more like around what those definitions would be, or does it go beyond that? And I know that I'm going to read it, but right. I'm asking that probably for everybody else's.
Sure. So part of it is the definitions, and a lot of the work we do in implementing the policies and things are based on definitions. So in the previous iteration, we didn't have the policies behind it, so that's another aspect that we've included with this round. So the policies informing the regulations is an important part. Also, some of the ways that we've separated emergency shelters from supportive housing, made emergency shelters, or proposed that emergency shelters are more appropriate in an institutional zone.
Okay.
And have some different ways of controlling how that kind of development would happen in both cases for supportive and emergency shelters. So
that's great.
That's sort of the high level view.
Okay, thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you very much. Now we'll hear from Director Lanza with Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of March, the department's focus has been on staff hiring, so our seasonal and summer staff. We launched programs for spring, and we had the arena season finish up and close. Had no issues in the arena this year. We've pushed a lot of procurement, and then recently a couple items I wanted to mention. The pool work did commence. We just have the finishing up on the pavers, and there's a small patch of concrete that needs to be finished. And then an update on grants. We've had 4 grants come in that were successful. We had $1,000 for Junius Rec Month and the Community Challenge Grant, $12,240 for Trans-Canada Trail Grant, which goes to fund summer staff, park staff. We also had another $7,040 for Canada Summer Jobs, which is going to fund our programming staff. And then we got $5,000 for the Celebrate Canada Fund to go towards Canada Day. That is it for my report. Any questions?
Perfect. Any questions for Director Lanza? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not a question, it's just a comment. The summer program guide and lineup, I just think it's brilliant. I just wanted to say that. I think it's really, really great.
Thank you.
It sounds very minuscule, but it's really awesome.
I'll make sure to pass that on to the staff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we'll move on now to new business. Item 5A is recreation, and we're going to hear from Ms. Jacobs on summer plan and all that great stuff.
Just follow right after
Councillor Savage. She opened it up.
What a lead in, right?
She read that one.
Slip that in, yeah. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me this evening. I'm Laura Jacobs. I'm your Manager of Recreation Services for the Parks and Recreation Department. So when we look at the format of how our operations are, we kind of lump it into 2 bubbles. Anything to do with parks, green spaces, facilities, that's our facility supervisor. Don't talk to me about how our trails are doing. Anything to do with people, though, that's why I'm here tonight. So just to recognize that I'm representing our services team. That includes Becca Craik, who is our Active Living Community Coordinator, and Grayson Titcomb, who is our IDEA Program Facilitator, and then also Jordan Murray lands under there for Communications and Administration. You don't have to do presentation.
Do you have one? Yeah.
There-
Put it, yeah.
If they don't want to see it, that's all right. So I'm here tonight to give you a bit of an overview of what our summer of 2026 looks like, and we look at it in sort of three different streams.
Hold on one sec. Is there one to load up, you mean, or not?
I did, but it's okay. It's
No,
only
put it up
four
if you want.
slides.
Oh, yeah, put it
I
up.
don't have it with me. I sent it
Oh,
to
okay.
Victoria.
Don't worry
It's
about it
okay.
then. I thought you
Yeah.
had it there and it wasn't showing up.
No, it's
Okay,
just
we're
pretty
fine
because
then.
we play with things on Canva.
Everybody
like-
has it in their package, so we're
So
okay.
that's, so we look at it in sort of three main streams. We like to call them buckets because we're playful in Parks and Recreation. So we'll start off with aquatics. This continues to be one of our core summer services. Thank you to the council for continuing to support the facilitation of our aquatics in the pool. The aquatics team will be responsible for regular swim lessons, lifeguarding, public swims, aquatic fitness programming, and water safety education. They'll also support some specialty swim programs this year, including sensory swims with the really strong partnership with our Shift program, rainbow swims, and swim with a mermaid events. Additionally, I want to identify that we have sort of stretched the schedule again based on feedback from community last year. There was more interest in lane swims and adult swims, so we're adding those and tweaking the schedule a little bit. Overall pool schedule will look somewhat similar with just a little bit of tweaking of those sessions. The next bucket is our day camp. So again, as council knows, day camp continues to be an important support for families in the community. We will focus on daily camp delivery for children, including themed activities, games, outdoor play. We consider the summer camp program kind of an extension of our Nature Kids program, and it focuses on outdoor education, engaging in nature, loads of fun, all of that stuff. We're also partnering with a couple community organizations like Music and Communities and Camp Kindness to bring additional camp opportunities for kids and youth. So last year we piloted with Music and Communities to offer 4 weeks of music-based camps for youth, and we're bringing that back again this year. And then our new bucket this year, we're calling our Summer Fun Crew. It used to be called Outreach, and we're sort of blending outreach into our summer programming opportunities. So they'll do things that are somewhat traditional in Kentville Recreation, like pop-up activities in parks, drop-in games, neighborhood play opportunities, and they're the support for a lot of our community events like Canada Day, Spike Run, Environment Day, all of those initiatives. That grouping of crew helps support those. But we're also introducing a new initiative this year called Activating Champions. So this sort of stemmed from, you may be aware, Kentville was one of 7 communities that was part of developing a pilot project with CPRA, Canadian Parks and Recreation Association, called Activating Neighborhoods. And so we participated in creating a toolkit and a framework that helps sort of communities engage in developing recreation in their own neighborhoods on their own. And this is sort of the next phase of that what it will do is build opportunities for community to kind of bring their ideas to us, and our summer staff will help develop and facilitate those ideas and bring them to life. This approach helps us build a strong model for community-led recreation. We in our department understand that recreation ultimately belongs in community, for community, by community, and we just sort of have the privilege of stewarding that work to exist here in Kentville. So overall, we think from a strategic perspective, this model supports several of the goals we've been discussing through our recreation planning work. It'll help us improve access to recreation, strengthen social connections, build community partners, test new service delivery approaches, and create more opportunities for resident leadership. And more importantly, helps build the capacity for future of recreation in the town of Kentville. Overall, I feel this is a really strong and balanced summer model that maintains our key services while also investing in innovation and community development. Happy to hear any questions.
Well, I just want to say thank you because that sounds like a great program for the summer. And as usual, we like to be the leaders in recreation, and I think we're on the right path. So I will open the floor to any questions from any members of council, and I don't see any lights on, but I know they're all happy. I can tell. Awesome. Thank you so much. There, that's good. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. We'll move on now to item 5B, which is bylaw 506. Do you want to speak to that, or Director Shoup, or 206? Or 206, sorry. I need to put these on, right? I'm going to put them on. Bylaw 206. No, mine are good. So we have a recommendation that council give first reading to bylaw 206, heritage property. Let's put the motion on the floor, and then if we have questions, we'll ask them to Director Shoup. So if someone wants to move that, Deputy Mayor Kroll, and a seconder. Councillor Savage. All right, I will open the floor to questions. Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Shoup, the question I had was around the penalty piece, the $500, between $500 and $2,000. That would only be charged, and I think I've read it correctly, that would only be charged if they agreed to it being a heritage property, and then they went ahead and did something to dismantle it or what have you.
That's my understanding as well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thrown off, sorry.
Lost your train of thought.
That's okay. So, that is pretty typical, is it? Or did we have some sort of public consultation piece around that piece?
I'd look to the CAO for this.
I'm just curious, obviously.
That's simply a legal clause in all of our
Okay.
bylaws.
Okay,
And so if somebody doesn't follow the rules, then there is the ability to prosecute them, and it is a last resort, of course.
of course, yeah.
And when it goes to court, then the judge decides, is it a serious overstep? If it is, then there may be a higher fine. If it's a basic overstep, then the judge may issue the smaller fine. They're standard clauses.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other, Councillor Baker?
Thank you. So just to clarify Councillor Savage's point, is that once a property is registered as a heritage property with the town of Kentville, and I had a follow-up to that, subsequent owners, once that property passes on to someone else, can they apply to have it unregistered?
There's a deregistration process.
There's a
as well, yes.
deregistration process. So I ask also, the follow-up on that is, I went through this and I'm trying to find in the bylaw where someone who has pride in their property could apply to have it considered. Is there a step for that?
You can you can come
You
forward
can
as a property
self-nominate?
owner.
I'm just wondering if
Yeah.
we're creating something that,
It's not only through recommendation of the PAC.
Understood.
You can come forward as well.
yeah. I was reading it with that lens on and I found it a little difficult to find it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I guess there's no other questions of clarification. We will open the vote. And voting is open, right? Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Thank you. We now move on to, make sure, bylaw 205, and this one is the council give first reading to bylaw 205 building. Councillor Savage as the mover, and as seconder, Councillor Baker. Is there any discussion or clarification you need on this one? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. Under section 4E, so it says a permit is valid for 1 year from the date of issuance or issue and is renewable. So if the permit is valid for the 1 year, presumably before it is renewable, it would go in and be reviewed all over again, or is it an auto renewal?
To my understanding, they have to apply for a renewal at that point, after 1 year.
Okay, because a lot can change in a year, right? I was just thinking, so probably there would be a process that you'd have to go
So
through.
if I may, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, just to clarify, so you apply for a permit, you may not be ready to build yet.
Right.
Do renovation, so you apply, you have a year to start your process.
Okay,
If you don't, then you have to come back to reapply to renew it, because the building code may have changed. The
right.
plumbing code may have changed, the electrical code, so that's the reason
Exactly.
for it.
Okay, perfect. Yep, thank you.
All right, no other questions. We will open the vote. Voting is now open. Oops. I'll allow it, yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I think it's really easy.
Yeah.
The Schedule A there, the fees for permits, is that a general fee guide Is it low? Is it high? Is it in keeping with other municipalities? I just I just didn't know if, like, I think of, like a dentist or something like that. They have a grid that they have to adhere to, and they can go higher, they can go lower. I'm just wondering if our permit fees are in keeping with other municipalities. Thank you, and sorry for the last one.
To my understanding, again, these, and I don't know the full history of the current bylaw, but I believe these are the fees that are set up by county kings, and I don't think they've changed much over the years. So,
Okay.
but they've also not indicated a need for a change in them, so.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, we will open the vote. And voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Thank you. The next item is withdrawal from Town Capital Reserve, and we'll invite Director Matthews up to speak to this.
Thank you. Oh, putting this, my heels aren't that high. Okay. The capital reserve withdrawals relate back to our capital plan. And there were some instances, as included in the staff report, where we had projects that exceeded the amount that were included in our budget, or were items that occurred that we didn't have we didn't have approval in the original budget plan. So for example, you will notice the Ricoh photocopier. We normally lease the photocopier. It was more economical for us to actually buy it this time. We knew we weren't doing the generator fence because that'll be part of the bigger town hall project. So we went ahead with internal administrative approval to actually replace those two. So all of those little changes that would have occurred throughout the year culminate in us having exceeded the budget by $30,278 for the amounts that would have normally come from our capital reserve. And so we are seeking approval from council for those funds to be allowed to be used to offset those additional costs. This would be part of our regular audit entries that we would do annually. So we are recommending that council would approve the recommendation to withdraw the $30,278 from our capital reserve to fund those acquisitions for the year 25-26. And the withdrawal will have a minimal impact on the ending reserve balance because there are sufficient savings from other projects to offset those costs. I can tell you that our transfers that we intended to make out of the reserve were about $1,048,000. We have taken out $685,000, so there's certainly sufficient funds there to offset that. And I'm open to any questions that you may have around this kind of year-end housekeeping item.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions for Director Matthews? Okay, so the recommendation is that council approve the recommendation to withdraw $30,278 from the Town of Kentville Capital Reserve to fund capital acquisitions for the year 25-26. This,
That's the rest of it's common.
we don't need it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Someone could move that? Deputy Mayor Kroll and a seconder, Councillor Maxwell. Any discussion? There being none, we'll open the vote. And voting is now closed. And the motion is carried. The next item is a recommendation regarding the Lions Club lease. Thank you, Councillor Baker. Councillor Baker declared a conflict on this one. So the recommendation is that council enter into the proposed 5-year lease agreement with Lions Club of Kentville for PID 554-98521 at 78 River Street, Kentville. Moved by Councillor Savage and a seconder, Councillor Hamilton. Is there any discussion on this? No discussion, we will open the vote then. Voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Clumsy, Councillor Baker. Move on to item 5F regarding Business Advisory Committee terms of reference. The recommendation is that council approve the draft terms of reference for Kentville Business Advisory Committee. Councillor Savage and Deputy Mayor Kroll, you're good as a seconder? And Deputy Mayor as the seconder. Is there any discussion on this? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. The only question I had around this was mainly around the reporting piece. So as I understand it, the Kentville Business Advisory Committee would report to council, but then there would be another line that would go to the CAO for operational type matters. And then there is the Community Economic Coordinator who is sort of is interwoven through these terms of reference. Will there be, since the operating budget is now approved as of our previous meeting, will there be another level inserted into these terms of reference other than just the Community Economic Coordinator, i.e. another position? Because I didn't see that in there.
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. So there will be another position that will be added. They will work along with the Community Economic Development Coordinator, but the CEDC, I guess for short, would be the leader of the file. They would lead with the other individual, would do research, do reports and stuff, but everything would go through that one staff member that's currently on staff.
Okay, so I guess my for a follow-up question then would be to report to us as a council. That presumably won't be very onerous?
Should not be, no.
Okay, thank you.
I think it said in there twice a year they would report.
It did say
with reports
twice a year.
twice a year.
Yeah,
The other staff person's gonna do most of the legwork.
that's where I would, yeah, perfect.
This person's just
Yeah.
the leader that comes forward and provides.
Perfect.
The information, the
Yeah,
report.
great, thank you for that.
Okay, any other discussion on the matter? There being none, we will open the vote. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Thank you. We now have a report from the nominating committee. The recommendation is that council approve the appointment of Ashley Hancock to the Planning Advisory Committee effective April 13th, 2026 to December 31st, 2027. Moved by Deputy Mayor Kroll. Who, did you move that? Okay, and a seconder, Councillor Maxwell. Any discussion on this? Councillor Savage.
I seem to have a lot of questions tonight, so sorry. Ms. Hancock, is like some of the background would be, or do we know that, or that would have gone to the nominating
Correct.
committee and
Yeah.
that piece would have been reviewed?
Yep,
Then
absolutely.
I'll withdraw my question.
Okay. Councillor Baker.
I take it, and thank you, Your Worship, that there is a profile for the makeup of the PAC in that the businesses are represented, councils represented, and developers are represented on PAC. Is that accurate? No? What's the makeup like?
No, it's, you can speak to it. You're quicker than.
Sure, so I didn't attend the nominating committee, I don't attend those meetings. However, it's like any committee where the council is required or being asked to nominate or put people on committees who are reflective of the community. So there would be a makeup, but we wouldn't necessarily put certain lobby groups on there, so we wouldn't necessarily put a business group or developer on there because they would have specific vested interests. This is more people that are interested in the growth and development of the community, who have good decision-making skills, thoughtful, would have the heart and soul of the whole community in mind. So there's nothing specific. We're not trying to find people from certain sectors. We're trying to just find good people who would be representative of the whole community.
So you're not looking for a specific skill set?
not specific skill set in the sense of specific sectors, but specific skill set in the sense of people who are open-minded, thoughtful, understand the community, understand the dynamics, understand what their neighborhood or what their community would be interested in for growth and development patterns on the planning side.
Thank you.
And really no different than when we appoint council members to committees too, right? You don't have to have a background in accounting to be on the finance committee or, so we people learn as they
Yeah.
come on these committees and
We are looking for somebody on investment though with.
we are still, there
monetary
is still
background.
one there, yeah.
Financial background.
All right, so no further discussion on that. We will open the vote. Voting is open. And voting is now closed. And the motion is carried. Thank you. The next one is regarding a fee waiving from Build Nova Scotia, and the recommendation is that council waive all of Town of Kentville building and development fees associated with the development and construction of 30 affordable housing units on Justice Way, Kentville identified as PID 552-56317. Moved by Councillor Savage and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Kroll. Is there any discussion on this? Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Your Worship. Is this a provincial department that we really don't have any say in whether they offer us funds or not? Or is this an arm's length organization?
No, it's the province. I would
It's
say,
the province,
yeah.
so.
You kind of asked it the way, do you want to speak to that?
It's a provincial government department, yes. They have the ability to not follow any of our rules and regulations. They're trying to play nice and ask for permission.
That's nice, thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. This is probably for the CAO. There will be property taxes paid on this. It'll come to us as a grant
Is
and
it
then.
correct?
Not property taxes, but a grant.
A grant.
Yes, a grant in lieu, that's what, yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll open the vote then. Voting is open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Next item is regarding the spring debenture pre-approval, and we'll welcome Director Matthews up one last time.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And thank you for the agreement for the late addition to the agenda. This would relate to our 25-26 capital projects that had debt funding associated with them. And this would include the Water Commission along with the Town of Kentville capital budget approvals. We wish to participate in the debenture offering that will fund us in May. That all those, a letter of commitment along with resolution is required to be submitted to the Finance and Treasury Board on April the 23rd. What you have before you is a request for $3,080,400 to be part of that issue. $2,799,400 is the town, and $281,000 is the Water Commission. The Water Commission relates to our 26.67% for the Donald E. Hiltz connector. The $2,799,400 relates to our 26.67% for the town for the connector, along with our AT, the street sweeper, which was to be funded by debt, and our grid and provincial road 50% funding, and the work that we did in the arena, which was the condenser and the dehumidifier. So those were the areas within the capital budget that we intended to finance. The value is less than what we budgeted. So those are the details around this specific request. So we are recommending that council approve the attached resolution for the $3,080,400 debenture pre-approval, and that we would submit that to the province within that defined timeline It does state within the resolution the maximum amount of interest at 7%. It isn't expected to be that high, but it ensures that we're not removed from the issue because the interest rate came in higher than what would be brought forward to you.
Perfect. Any questions for Director Matthews based on this? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. So that interest rate, can that fluctuate while this debenture is in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why they ask, you'll see it says not to exceed that amount.
Right.
So currently, as I included in the report, the fall debenture was 3.501 for a 20-year. And right now, the current year is standing at 4.9. So they anticipate it to be somewhere around the 4.9, but they did not want us to not be able to participate if you said can't exceed 5 and it comes in at 5.02.
Okay, so that's why.
So it's more to give it that
Yep.
odor limit.
Other buffer, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation is that council approve the attached resolution for $3,080,400 debenture pre-approval to submit to the Nova Scotia Finance and Treasury Board for spring 2026. Deputy Mayor Kroll and a seconder, Councillor Maxwell. Any further discussion? We will open the vote then. Voting is closed and the motion is carried. Thank you. That concludes our new business section and we'll move on to public comments, but there is no members from the public here, so we'll keep moving along. We have items that we must discuss in a closed session, so I will take a motion to enter a closed session and we will not be returning back to the live feed after the session ends. So Deputy Mayor Kroll and a seconder, Councillor Hamilton. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. 6